trust me, I've some hot celebrities, and if I was going to come forward with a story, you really think I would have picked the orange hobgoblin?
This is Melody Kush. This is Lana Del Rey.
What's the weirdest place that you've had sex? I gotta know.
Oh my God, yeah, that.
Get on your knees.
Like, oh wow, like that's really how it is in the cam world?
I really like it.
Sex tales. Wow.
So let's tackle the orange elephant in the room. Let's get this out of the way here. Basically, what was it originally that made you want to speak out about Trump? Was there like one particular event? Was it just like a buildup of things? What made you want to go public with this?
So it wasn't, that's the thing, is I don't feel like I really went public, because in my world, it was never not public. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, I would be on set and Trump would call and I would put him on speakerphone. Literally hundreds of people knew about all of this. You know what I mean? It wasn't a secret. Makeup artists, talents. Like, it was not a secret. It was never a secret that, there were people with me that night. There were people there at the events. Like, everyone saw him approach me. The company I work for knew that I went up to his room because I canceled going to dinner with them. Like, I obviously told them why. Mm-hmm. What is not understood is that people thought that I was there to escort, or that he had propositioned me for sex, and I had said yes. No. I was invited to his room to have dinner and discuss me being on Celebrity Apprentice, because he had learned earlier during that day on the golf course that I wasn't just a performer, that I also directed, and I guess he pretended to be, or perhaps was genuinely interested in that. And I was never asked to have sex with him. It was never propositioned. I never agreed to. He didn't even flirt with me once, because once we got into the business conversation that lasted well over 2 hours. Mm-hmm. So there is a section of sex workers and stuff that really don't like me because they think I rolled over on a John. And if that had been the situation, I never would have said anything, because it would have been discussed. It would have been a thing. Like, that's not what happened. I went there for a dinner and a business meeting. At no point was sex even remotely discussed. I went to use the bathroom and came out, and he had his clothes off and he cornered me.
Whoa.
And I was afraid to say no. That's what happened. I was never paid. I was never offered money. I was never any of these things. And the only reason I continued to talk to him and take those phone calls from him was because I was still holding on to the hope that I could be on the TV show. And then I hadn't been cornered and put in this situation for nothing. I just made sure that the next 4 times I saw him, I was never alone. And was like, I took steps to make sure I wasn't by myself, that I had it out, that I was on my period, or like whatever. Like, we've all done this game. And so, that's what I did. And in those meantime, he would call my phone 2 or 3 times a week, and I'd put him on speakerphone. None of this was a secret. None of this was me trying to capitalize on it. And then years went by. Obviously, I'd stopped talking to him. I got married. I had a daughter. He announced that he was thinking about running for president. And one of those hundreds of people, because like I said, it was not a secret, sold the story to In Touch magazine in 2011. At which time I was like, yeah, it's all true. And I passed a lie detector test, and then they killed the story, which I was very grateful for, because I had just had a daughter. That's not how I wanted to be photographed. She was like 2 months old. I'm still leaking from places you're not supposed to leak from, not to be too graphic. And so it was forgotten, and I never thought about it again until, 5, 6 years later, and it hit again. And that's when they offered me an NDA, which I took happily, because I didn't want my husband to find out. I didn't want people to know I had had sex with that. It was so in my past. I had a daughter to think about, a great career. It's not what I wanted to be known for. So I was like, this is done. Fine. It was great. Everything was good for a year. They approached me. And then I was approached by the company by Wicket, but the old owners, and they wanted me to come forth. They wanted to capitalize on this. And I understand the business perspective of that, but I was like, I'm not making a Trump porn parody. That's not gonna happen. Like, that's not how I want to be known. Like, I want to be taken serious as this director. I had just directed a big music video. I was about to direct a horror movie. My movies were known to be quality and not campy. Like, I'd won Best Director multiple times by now, because we're talking about a decade in between. And it's just, I said no, and I got approached one more time. They're like, are you sure? I said no, and that's when I let it slip. I have an NDA. I'm not ever going to talk. Like, I'm not going to get sued. And a couple days later, the next thing I know is that Jessica Drake from Wicked Pictures was on TV telling my story, like, as it was hers, and I was just shocked because she knows that it didn't happen. She knows she wasn't there. She's a lying fucking bitch. And I was, like, pissed because that's when I decided to come forward. And I was just really shocked that the company even allowed that to happen because they also knew that she was not in that room.
Well, also, like, it sounds like other people were able to talk about this, but you were, like, the only person in the whole world who couldn't.
Exactly.
You know?
And so the other big thing that really flushed me out was that in the NDA, and I'm pretty sure this is standard for any NDA, it's just condom. And, like, you can't talk about whatever the thing is about, but you also can't contact each other. And it said very specifically in there, obviously, the two parties involved, which we now know is me and Trump, could not contact each other, but also people affiliated with us couldn't contact the other. Like, my family couldn't call his family, like, things like that.
That's going to ruin Thanksgiving. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many jokes I could make. I'm just not going to. But Michael Cohen was shopping a book. Nothing wrong with that. Where in the pitch for the book that he sent out to potential publishers, he said, like, oh, as Trump's attorney, as Trump's fixer, I was responsible for this deal and this deal and this. And in his, like, examples, he specifically said the Stormy Daniels $130,000 payoff. And I was like, and so the press got it, and now they're on my front yard and they are wanting all this information, and I couldn't even defend myself. Like, we're not supposed to talk about it, but you literally just told everybody everything. So of course they have these questions for me.
Yeah, of course.
And I wasn't even allowed to defend myself. At which point now he kind of realized that he messed up. So then they approached me and wanted me to release a statement. And there's a very big difference, I believe, in every way, ethically, whatever you want to call it, between not saying anything, kissing and telling, like, whatever, like, whatever word you want to choose. Like, saying nothing, I'm totally fine with, because trust me, I've fucked some hot celebrities, and if I was going to come forward with a story, you really think I would have picked the orange hobgoblin over, like,
Ryan Gosling, I'm really hoping.
Exactly. I have not fucked Ryan Gosling, at least not that he was actually physically there for.
I just love that all the sweaters are made out of boyfriend material.
But you understand, like, what I'm saying. Like, there's so many people that I would have rather be known for having sex with than that. And
of course. Yeah.
that I still haven't said anything about, nor would I, because I don't kiss and tell. So I was fine with saying nothing. It was when they approached me and wanted me to flat out lie that I was like, no, this is not okay. So I have people saying this shit all over the internet, knocking on my door, trying to take pictures of my daughter, camping out on my front lawn, all over here, calling me names. I can't defend myself. Over here, I have some chick that's trying to capitalize on a story that's not hers and twist it. And there was just so much going on at once. And then they changed the wording of the statement because I was like, I'm not a liar. I'm not a liar. I'm not signing this. And then they're like, oh, well, we changed it from having sex to having an affair. And technically, Stormy, it wasn't an affair. And I was like, oh, that's right. It wasn't. Sex one time does not, at least in my book, count as an affair. An affair is something that's ongoing and at least consensual, like something you agree to, and there's affection, right? So I was like, fine, I'll sign it. So I signed it, and I was like, done. And then 2 weeks later, they wanted me to release another one, and they cornered me again in a hotel room the day that I went on the Jimmy Kimmel show. So I purposely signed my signature wrong, knowing that Jimmy Kimmel would catch it, and he did. I just signed it in that moment because I was alone in a room with people, and I was like, I have to get out of here. So I signed it, knowing that within a few hours it would be out, that I would have the opportunity to tell that story. And luckily, Jimmy Kimmel caught that the signature was not mine.
Oh, wow. Good
And
job,
so that's
Jimmy.
kind of how it all happened. And then I was like, you know what? I just had this moment where I was like, I should have just... telling the truth is always the best option. So I just was like, fuck it. If they can break the NDA and bully me and this and that, like, I'm just gonna tell the truth. And so I told the truth, and we all know what happened next.
Hey, Sex Squad. Remember to spank that like button and subscribe on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/camminglife.
And make sure to subscribe to Sex Tales wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
Yes.